Facebook's chief operating officer, Sheryl Sandberg, is admitting that the company did not do enough to protect users' data. She's now apologizing for the company's failures, saying in an interview, quote, "We were way too realistic." Anna Werner has more on the company's next steps.
We know that we did not do a good enough job protecting people's data, and I'm really sorry for that, and Mark's really sorry for that.
In an interview with Bloomberg, Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg focused on the company's future after the massive data breach.
What people want to know from us is, are we going to take steps to be more protective and more proactive? And the answer to that is a firm yes.
On Monday, Facebook says it will make it clearer for users to see which apps they're connected to and how to delete them. Founder Mark Zuckerberg says in 2013, an app called This Is Your Digital Life began harvesting data of the roughly 300,000 Facebook users who downloaded the app and their friends. The collected data, he says, was eventually shared with political consulting firm Cambridge Analytica, violating Facebook's privacy terms. Cambridge Analytica has denied wrongdoing. This week, Facebook said data from as many as 87 million users may have been scraped.
I'm not going to sit here and say we won't find more problems. We will. And this is a forever thing because security is an arms race.
Sandberg also pushed back against ex-Facebook employees who've criticized the company's practices, saying it's obviously disappointing when people who worked here speak out. We have an incredibly open culture internally. Last year, former Facebook executive Chamath Palihapitiya said he felt tremendous guilt building the social media giant.
It literally is a point now where I think we have created tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works.
Senior writer for Tech Republic, Dan Patterson, joins me now on set. Okay, Dan, so Sheryl Sandberg said that, she apologized for the fact that she knew for 2.5 years that this data was there. She never conducted an audit. She never went back to see if this was in fact deleted. Do you think that this is going to be a really key point of contention when these hearings take place on Capitol Hill next week?
Well, what did you know and when did you know it will certainly be at the center of the questioning. What's so interesting is the way Sheryl Sandberg parsed her language, particularly when it comes to when did you know this and what did you do about this? And her response was, well, they told us that they deleted it, which seems as though a pretty weak defense, and unfortunately, that's not going to be enough for lawmakers. What I think is key here is, again, if the product is free, then you are most likely the product. And unfortunately, Facebook doesn't just come out and say, hey, look, we're selling an advertising platform and we had to do X, Y, and Z in order to make our stock price go up.
She also talked about, one way to get a company is to hit them in the pocket. There's some advertisers who are pulling out. I want to play that bite for you.
It's a few advertisers, but what matters is not how big it is. What matters is the questions they're asking. So advertisers are people. They're people who use Facebook. So are investors. And everyone wants to know the same thing, which is, are you protecting people's data? I think the advertisers and people who use Facebook also want to know that the good things will continue. And those are really important as well.
Do you think this scandal is going to affect the landscape of advertising on Facebook?
I think Facebook is a platform that has a scale of 2 billion users. So although this has the potential to impact in the short term, I think in the long term, as long as Facebook can build and continue to iterate on a product that fulfills the needs of its users, it won't have a long-term impact on the advertising within the platform.
There's been some talk about maybe a premium Facebook where you wouldn't have any ads. Do you see that realistically happening?
I don't think realistically this is something that users should expect. However, their competitor, Google, certainly offers Google Apps for Domains where you can pay about $10 a month and not have your data harvested and make sure that you don't receive advertising. I think this is a real hard problem for a lot of tech companies to solve. Converting a social audience that is accustomed to a free product to being a premium product is a nut that a lot of companies would crack. It is something that Facebook could offer as a part of this PR blitz that they're on right now. They could offer that without the expectations that many users would sign up for it, but as an option for people who really want their data to be more private.
So we know that Zuckerberg and Sandberg have both come forward and apologized. They've made these technical changes, but do you think that there still is a call for there to be personnel changes?
Well, whether there are personnel changes there is definitely not my call, but what I would really like to see are actual technical changes and an explanation of not just deprecating APIs, not just putting fancy buttons up, but tell us precisely how the company tracks us around the web, on mobile apps, and on Internet of Things apps. And I think until they do that, there won't be a real reckoning.
So Facebook recently deleted this message that Zuckerberg had sent to some of the platforms. They got this in their inbox. Can you explain this and exactly what the security concerns might be that he said the reason for him retracting this statement?
Well, some of the security concerns could be that it is simply unwise to say some of those things in ironically, in unencrypted form.
Remind us again about the letter, exactly.
Well, the letter was sent by Mr. Zuckerberg detailing some of the ways and some of the behaviors that Facebook uses to track people. And some of this is just not information that the public might not understand or might react poorly to. A lot of the things that Facebook does is not devious or evil, but it is very technical, and if presented in the wrong light, it could look really bad.
Ultimately, do you think the apologies were enough? Does the public buy it? Is it going to affect the product?
Doesn't matter what I think, but I'd love to see what 2 billion Facebook users do with this information. I know that I stopped being a Facebook user a long time ago because of similar privacy concerns. So I wonder at what point we will reach where the public says, well, my privacy is worth money. It's worth cash out of my pocket. Unfortunately, as Facebook noted last week, some of the world's most disadvantaged people rely on Facebook. So are they scraping their data and selling it as well?
Dan Patterson, great to have you on set.
Good to be here.